I don't much like the looks of none of y'all, and my wife is next door, so I would appreciate a little discretion.
That woman was in my bed touching me!
Hi guys, welcome to our channel. A group of young filmmakers intended to make an adult film in rural Texas and rent a cabin on an isolated farm. Just when they start making the film, they realize that they have to fight against an elderly and mysterious couple to survive. Check the title of the movie in the description. The film begins with the arrival of a sheriff in a Texas village in 1979, who arrives at the scene of a horrific crime. There is blood on the front porch and a body wrapped in a blanket in the front yard, and in addition, there are several bodies that have been gruesomely killed. On the other hand, the sermon of a fundamentalist Christian preacher is being broadcast on TV. When the officer sees something special, he calls the sheriff. They go to the basement, and something terrible shocks him. In a flashback to 24 hours ago, Maxine, an aspiring adult film actress, and her executive producer boyfriend Wayne, get ready to shoot and make a movie. The cinematographer and director of this film, RJ, along with his girlfriend Lorraine, sound recordist, are in this group. Jackson and his girlfriend Lynn are also set to star in this film. They move from Houston to Texas to make a pornographic film called Farmer's Girl, and try to practice the script on the way. An hour later, an accident between a cow and a truck caused traffic in the middle of the road, and the sight of the cow's corpse made Maxine feel nauseous. Finally, they arrive at the farm that Wayne had reserved earlier. The landlord, an elderly and veteran owner named Howard, greets Wayne with his gun because he thinks he is a stranger. Wayne coolly explains that he is the one who contacted him about renting his house, as they discussed the night before. Remembering him, Howard puts his gun away. He claims that it is empty and that he usually uses it to scare strangers. As she exits the van, Maxine notices Pearl, Howard's wife, staring at her from the window. Afterwards, Howard leads the team to a cabin near his home, where he awkwardly expresses his disapproval and distrust of each of them. Filming begins when Jackson and Lynn engage in a highly hormonal exchange. At the same time, when Maxine goes out for a smoke, she finds a nearby lake by walking around a bit. She decides to swim in the water, so she removes her clothes. Pearl, suspiciously and horrified, watches her swim naked. In the cabin, the conversation between Wayne and RJ is created by the director's desire to create a grown-up image that showcases the actor's intense emotions. Wayne believes that audiences are waiting for these kinds of movies, so they should keep making them, and they'll be rich soon. As Lynn and Jackson argue about the better actor, Lorraine sits quietly and watches. Maxine enjoys the serenity of floating on the water's surface while oblivious to the fact that there is a dangerous alligator in the water, patiently waiting to devour her. Without knowing that the crocodile is following her, after a while, she gradually swims towards the dock. By luck, she comes out of the water just as the crocodile is seconds away. As filming resumes, Jackson begs Lynn for a phone because his car broke down, but she says she can't do it but hopes her father can help him. While she waits for her father, she offers him to come inside and wait for her father. When Maxine returns home, she sees Pearl waving at her from afar, so despite her confusion, she enters their home out of curiosity. Maxine sees that their house is filthy. Suddenly, Pearl appears behind her in a terrifying form and offers her a drink of lemonade in the kitchen. After Maxine finishes drinking, she says she has to return, and Pearl accompanies her. On the other hand, Lynn approaches Jackson seductively and tells him to join her until her father gets home. As Pearl recounts her husband's miraculous survival from the war and his unwavering love for her during that time, Maxine stares at the photos of their past on the wall. The advent of war forced Pearl to give up her career as a dancer. She then reluctantly tells Maxine to look at her beautiful face in the mirror. She pulls away immediately after feeling Pearl's hands on her side. At that moment, Howard shows up in his truck, and Pearl asks her to get out, pointing out that whatever happens between them will remain a secret. While Howard enters the house through the door, Maxine exits the other entrance and quickly returns to the cabin. Wayne stops her and asks her to get ready for filming immediately. She locks herself in a room and, refusing to accept a life she does not deserve, stares at the mirror and repeats this sentence. Discovering 2 cups of lemonade, Howard realizes that Pearl had a visitor in his absence. Returning to the team, they head into the warehouse to film a scene featuring Lynn's younger sister Maxine. Jackson explains to her that he will ask their father to take him to the city. Still, Maxine warns him that their father is irate, so she offers to take him to the city herself. In the next scene, she and Jackson are filmed having sex, and Pearl, who is outside the house, is visibly excited as she watches the situation through the window. After watching them, she returns home and asks Howard to sleep together, but he explains that he can't take it since he has a weak heart, so he rejects her request. Later that night, Lynn admires Maxine for her attractive body and claims she understands why Wayne left his wife. After that, Lorraine says that how Maxine slept with Jackson while her boyfriend Wayne was watching them was cheating. She believes that there is no love between them, so Lynn, Wayne and Maxim get angry because they think it's just a movie made to entertain people and Jackson and the girls are actually the actors in the movie. However, Lorraine admits that she doesn't know if she agrees with their words, but contrary to what she thought, she liked what she saw today. They drink and have a good time as Jackson plays guitar and Lynn sings. On the other hand, it is shown that Pearl suffers because she thinks she is old and not young anymore. After that, Lorraine incredulously requests that she doesn't want to be just a sound recordist and that she wants to act in an adult film. Since she is the director's girlfriend, RJ immediately rejects her request for the scene. In response, she says she'd rather star in the dirty awesome film they're making than carry the equipment. RJ refuses and says they can't change the story in the middle of filming. Still, she believes that the story is meaningless for this content because viewers are paying to watch porn, not the story. In the middle of their argument, Wayne says he can intervene as a producer. He takes RJ out and tries to convince him that his girlfriend can act, but RJ points out that Lorraine is a nice girl and not like other girls. Wayne gets angry because of his point of view, and after a little conversation, he finally convinces him that he should give his girlfriend a chance. As they enter the cabin, Wayne hands the camera to a shocked RJ. The scene begins with Lorraine removing the towel from Jackson's waist, which Maxine and Lynn were doing. Later that night, RJ goes to take a shower. At the same time, everyone else is asleep, and he's upset and crying because his girlfriend and Jackson had sex on camera. He angrily decides to leave Lorraine and the group alone. Still, immediately after leaving, he sees Pearl before him and stops. He tries to escort Pearl into their house, but she remains unmoved. She then hugs him. After stroking his back and moaning in his ear, she tries to massage him with her thumb, but RJ refuses, and suddenly Pearl plunges a knife into his neck. She doesn't let go of RJ and stabs him in the neck so much that the blood continuously splatters in the air. Afterwards, the murderous and eccentric old woman begins to dance as she reflects on her love of dancing in her younger years. Lorraine opens her eyes in the middle of the night to find that RJ is not in bed with her, and even after searching the entire house and outside, she can't find him. Wayne appears behind her and asks what's going on, so Lorraine informs him about RJ's disappearance and asks for help finding him. Lorraine checks around the house and finds Howard looking for his wife while Wayne searches the stables for RJ. He unknowingly steps on a trap, and the nail sinks into the sole of his foot. While suffering from pain, he sees a shadow behind the door, so he removes the nail from his foot and checks out through the holes in the door. Suddenly, Pearl kills him terribly with a big fork. Before looking for their missing ones, Howard, holding a flashlight, asks Lorraine to go to the basement to find another flashlight because he fears falling in the dark. She goes to the basement and immediately finds the flashlight, but when she goes up the stairs, she discovers, to her dismay, that the old man has locked the door from the outside. He ignores Lorraine's cries for help and leaves her in the basement. Afterwards, she returns to the basement, looking for a way out. Instead, she finds an unidentified man hanging from the ceiling and horribly murdered, completely naked, injured, dead, and nearly decomposing. A creak at the door wakes Jackson and Lynn. After Lynn falls back asleep, Jackson investigates where the voice came from. Howard is still searching for Pearl outside the cabin, who confronts Jackson. Jackson decides to help him find his wife, so he goes inside to get dressed. On the other hand, Pearl discreetly enters Maxine's room. The scary old woman strips herself and goes to Maxine's bed to touch her. Outside, Jackson asks Howard to look for his wife separately, so he heads into the woods. Meanwhile, Pearl delicately touches Maxine's body with her bloody hands, leaving traces of blood on her body. The discovery of an old classic car in the middle of the woods gets Jackson thinking and leads him to question the old couple's motives. After that, he looks for Howard, and suddenly, he appears out of nowhere. He glares at him and shouts that they are responsible for his wife's disappearance because they seduced Pearl while they were naked and filming. Despite Jackson's attempts to downplay his statements, Howard shoots and kills him. At the same time, Maxine opens her eyes, sees the scary old woman face to face, and screams in fear. Lynn jumps to her aid at the sound of her scream. Pearl surprises her by appearing naked when the door opens, and she rushes to Maxine, who screams that Pearl touched her while she was sleeping. Lorraine discovers a small axe in the basement, which she uses to break down the door. Still, just as she gets access to the lock, the old man attacks her and warns her to return to the basement. As Howard turns on the TV to drown out Lorraine's distressing cries for help, The TV still plays the same religious person's sermons. Leaving Maxine to search for Jackson outside, Lynn heads down to the dock and notices Pearl standing unclothed at the edge of the dock. Worried that the old woman might trip and fall, she goes to her for help and tries to help Pearl return to her residence by covering her with a blanket. Nevertheless, she slaps and taunts her in return for her generosity. After insulting her, Lynn tries to leave, but Pearl stops and coldly throws her into the lake. At that moment, the alligator kidnaps Lynn, and the water quickly turns red from her blood. Howard finds her and comes to take Pearl home. Meanwhile, Maxine is cleaning up the blood on her body. She soon notices the murderous old couple approaching the cabin and immediately hides herself. They go to Maxine's room to see her, but she's not there. While they are sitting on the bed, Pearl despairingly talks about her last private relationship and how long it has been since they were last intimate. Howard assures his wife that she has been precious to him since they met, and that she is as stunning now as she was when she was younger. Pearl takes his hands and begs him to make love to her, convincing him that despite his weak heart, he can make it. As the old couple begin to do so, it turns out that Maxine overheard their conversation and now knows that her friends have been killed. She tries to leave the room silently and by crawling on the floor. After that, she rushes to the vehicle to escape but sees that the tire is punctured with a bloody knife, and her eyes fall on RJ's body. At that moment, she hears Lorraine's cries for help, so she immediately rushes to save her. After freeing her, she asks Lorraine to be quiet, but she ignores Maxine's warnings and heads for the door. As soon as she walks out of the door, Howard pulls the trigger, and Lorraine is killed. While the old couple retrieves her body, Howard goes into cardiac arrest after carrying the body and collapses without breathing. The only survivor, Maxine, comes out of hiding and points the gun she took from the car at Pearl. According to Maxine's threats, Pearl is forced to inform her that the car keys are in the kitchen drawer. She criticizes Maxine and believes that Maxine is following her because they are both prostitutes. Maxine says no because she believes she is famous and everyone will know her name soon. She says that a life that doesn't belong to me is unacceptable, just like the fundamentalist priest's words on TV that he was referring to. She fires angrily, but her gun is empty, so Pearl picks up the shotgun from the floor. Maxine manages to dodge the bullet, but Pearl is thrown out by the force of the impact. As Maxine leaves the house, she looks at Pearl with a broken hip, who begs her for help, but she tells her to keep quiet. While she loudly says that you are not special and everything will be taken from you, Maxine gets into the car and, with hatred and malice towards Pearl, by moving the car, crushes her skull to end her life. She continues on her way on the road, and when morning comes, the same program is broadcast on TV, which shows that the priest is looking for his daughter, Maxine. An officer discovers a camera used to record pornographic video by RJ and questions the sheriff about what might be on it. In response to the officer's question, the sheriff says that with the situation he sees, it is probably a horror film. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.